everyone, hope you're doing well. We're back on the dev server, and it's time to have a look at a new AA machine that is coming in for the Soviets in the next major update. This is the BTR-152D. Now, this may look familiar to you. You can see a vehicle over there, which looks very similar, and that's because, well, it is. This is a BTR-152A, which we have already had in the game for a while at rank 2 battle rating 2.7, and basically all you do is you add two 14.5s to it. It adds 0.2 tons of weight, and then it goes up to rank 3 and battle rating 3.7. So basically you've just doubled the fire rate on the standard BTR, which is over there. Everything else is pretty much the same. There's nothing to really, go crazy about. The armor itself is only 10 millimeters around the area, and then 13 on the front, so you won't have a ton of survivability, and you'll still have the same issues that a lot of these AAs have, which is, of course, overpressure being quite aggressive towards them. But the main thing is you have a ton of firepower to be able to deal with aircraft and kind of go around the place. One kind of interesting thing, if we compare the BTR-152A and the D, is the fact that even though you've doubled the firepower and also created this kind of system around the gunner, so all of them can fit, you still haven't affected the targeting speed. So the targeting speed is still pretty good. You can see the vertical speed is really nice there, and then also the horizontal speed is 39 degrees, so you can get the guns on target pretty efficiently for the vehicle while you are trying to, go after some different people. It does have a crew of 5. You got the gunner, the driver, the commander, and then also 2 loaders in the back for all 4 of the 14.5s. The reload rate is 9.2 seconds, which is a little bit crazy. It is affected by, of course, crew skills, but one thing to note about this is you have obviously double the amount of magazines which are sat there, and you still have pretty decent sizes for those 14.5 millimeters which are sat around. The vehicle does have a 110 horsepower engine in the front and also a transmission, which means that it can motor pretty effectively around the place, and that's nice to see. As always, has pretty good gun elevation, 89 degrees, so you can't really attack this thing even from full top without it being able to engage you. And then also it has some gun depression, meaning that you can go after ground targets if you want as well. So there is some niceties on this. The standard BTR-152 is pretty good. This one will be even better, and since it's rank 3, it will actually be able to do dailies and specials, which will be really nice. Since it is an AA, it doesn't get a ton of different things. It starts off with a universal belt, which is mainly API, API-T, and IAI, so it has pretty decent penetration against lighter targets, but if you're using it for an AA role, this probably isn't the belt that you want to go for. And then it has an IAI belt, which is just a mixture of IAI and API-T, so still half your rounds are API-T at that point. And then the rank 2 mod, you have API-T, API-C, API-T, IAI. So that actually gives you 10 millimeters more penetration with the cement core API-C. It just kind of sucks that these rounds, like if you want to go just full, anti-air, half of your rounds are still API-T. Like, even in the belt, which is more designed for that. It would be nice if this was like IAI, IAI, API-T, just to give it a little bit more use. But overall, it's not, bad on the rounds. They're all going to be pretty good. It does have artillery support, which is nice to see as well. And then doesn't have access to scouting, because technically this thing can do damage to ground vehicles, which is one of the kind of signs that it won't get it. So the vehicle itself, one of the big things about AAs is they need to be, part of lineups. You can see it's right here just after the ZSU-37 and just before the BTR-ZD. Now, there is still a pretty powerful 3-7 lineup for the Soviets, the KV-1L11, the T-34-41, and then, of course, you could put in the Yak-10 if you wanted, or maybe you could even put this thing up into 4.3, 4.7. It would still be useful as an AA. But one thing that is quite nice, since it is a rank 3 and everything else is 3.7 at rank 2, you could actually technically up-tier a bunch of stuff with it to, kind of get dailies done, get specials done, and even other events that would be available. That to me is always a sign of a nice kind of addition to the game, especially since the battle pass and also dailies and stuff like that always revolve around stuff such as rank 3 for vehicles, and even events, you know, like the summer event, the winter event, and stuff like the Build-A-Bear events too. So, the BTR-152 can be one of those vehicles that can help out a lineup and make it so it's able to kind of get into these areas too. It has all of the standard post-World War II Soviet camos, since this is a post-World War II machine. The bicolor desert is always a fan favorite for me. Definitely always nice to see. Hopefully in the future we can see a few more of them. So this type of vehicle, what are you looking at? Well, you're obviously looking at it being an AA. And with the targeting speed that it has, you can see how quickly, you know, the guns actually move around. And also with the fire rate of the guns and having 600 rounds in each of them, it basically means that you can put out a lot of damage towards enemies and take out, you know, vehicles pretty effectively with the 14.5s, and that's kind of what you want, right? Like, you want a setup where the 14.5s can do quite a lot, and this kind of has it. So you get 600 rounds to be able to pummel into enemies, and hopefully, you know, you'll be able to do some pretty decent amount of damage to planes which are moving around the place, and also to lighter vehicles. You know, with the 14.5s, you can pen, as we talked about, you know, just over 40 millimeters, at least at point blank, with certain rounds. Like if you take this set, as you can see, the reload rate's not the best, but also you do get 600 rounds before you have to reload. That to me, I think, is completely fine. You know, it basically means that you can take out a lot of different stuff really quickly. That's how damaging the AP can be against similar BR vehicles that are moving about. The vehicle can't turn really well. It's only technically two-wheel drive on the front, but if you are just pushing it in a straight line, it is able to get from A to B pretty quickly. But most of the time with a vehicle like this, you're not really like motoring around, right? Like you're not kind of sat there just waiting to see what it's going to do. Instead, what you're doing is you're aiming at vehicles in the air. You know, you're going after them, you're trying to take them out, and overall, as I said, you can do decent damage even with the AP belt. Like this is with the AP belt, which has you know, 3 AP and then only 1 IAI. As long as you connect with that IAI, you can do pretty good damage. And after, you know, hitting that guy a decent amount, we've pretty much crippled him and been able to take him down. So the amount of ammo is not an issue with this machine. The mobility is not an issue. The turret rotation is not an issue. There isn't really an issue with it. You know, the 14.5 is a super good machine gun to use, and will be useful against a lot of light targets which go around the place. Like even stuff like Panzer IVs, you can just straight up front pen with guns like this, which is super good. And with the artillery, you can at least mark targets for allies going around. As an AA, this one works well. You know, there's nothing wrong with the standard BTR, and now you just have one with double the firepower. Seems pretty good to me, and the more AAs we get at the mid-tiers, the less CAS is going to be powerful, which is always good. So hopefully we get more of these high fire rate, high muzzle velocity vehicles to help out against the CAS at the mid-tiers, which can be incredibly oppressive. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Brendan Quinn, Vilneus, Character Fuel, Juan the Panda, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Merciless Reaper, Orange Tail, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Moxie, B. Young, Bareen, Peter Grayling, Alan Hacker, Sem Alslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R, and also Lafouche for supporting the channel.